What up? It's your boy T-Bear here in Reaction. Today is Wrestling Wednesday. I'm doing videos about tag team though. So I'll do a video. This 3 is all about a tag team I feel like so underrated as well too. Even though they won tag team championship as well too. Definitely one of the most underrated tag team of all time, as that's Paul London and Brian Kendrick, man. I used to love them as a tag team, man, especially their interest though. They was almost like the New Rage Rocker. I think their theme was called the New Rockers. They was more of the New Rockers than the Hardys boy. It was pretty awesome, man. And it was also with their own little sort of leading the way with Ashley Mazzaro, R.I.P. to her as well too, R.I.P. to her. But yeah, they were definitely one of the most charismatic, high-flying, athletic teams out there. And glad they got some tag team wins though. It's good to check this video out though. So we want to look at this video about Paul London and Brian Hood run in WWE from hold on, this cut off. Let me see on my phone right here. What's called from 2000. Hold on. Anyway, sorry, something just popped up with me. Anyway, they're run from 2005 to 2008, and this is at the single the most underrated tag team ever, and I do feel it was. So anyway, let's get it.
What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. To me, these guys are the most underrated tag team in WWE history. They were so damn awesome in the ring, and they were a sight to see. Like, from 2005 all the way to 2008, I don't think I've ever seen a tag team as awesome as these two. They brought a unique style to the WWE, which wasn't seen before, I believe. And for that, I thought, why not make a video on them and, like, remind you guys why they were awesome. I don't understand how a team that held the titles for nearly a year are forgotten about.
Right.
That's exactly what happened. Now, first of all, these guys were a gem. They were seen as the next top guys in the company, and I'm not over-exaggerating. It was just due to some attitude problems and something else, I believe, that they never reached the level that they did. They were really talented, and as for how they became a tag team, here it is. Paul London trained at a few wrestling schools before enrolling in Shawn Michaels' Texas Wrestling Academy. It was there where he met Brian Kendrick, Daniel Bryan, and Lance Cade. They were also training there around this time period. Bryan would go by the name of Spanky, and I believe it was Daniel Bryan who coined that nickname, and that's a whole nother story. Spanky wrestled in WWE's developmental territory, Memphis Championship Wrestling, for a bit, and London, he wrestled in a few promotions such as TNA before settling in Ring of Honor. At that point, Brian Kendrick was also there. It was Kendrick who signed to WWE first, with London following up about a few months later. Spanky didn't do much in WWE around this time period. By the end of his first run, he did team up with London, but he decided to leave and hone his craft elsewhere. As for Paul London, he was doing well. He won the tag team titles with Billy Kidman, but over time, Kidman lost his confidence, and he was so messed up over hurting Chavo Guerrero, and so they began feuding over this as Kidman gradually transitioned into a heel. I will cover this on this channel, but for right now, we gotta focus on Lundrick. Right afterwards, London entered the Cruiserweight division. He captured the title on the March 31st, 2005 episode of SmackDown, and he held the gold for about 4 months. Once he dropped the title, this was when Brian Kendrick was rehired. Upon Spanky's return, he was simply known as Brian Kendrick, and he was placed in a tag team with Paul London. They started to wear matching gear, but they were still losing. It wasn't until the first SmackDown after WrestleMania 22 that they were pushed. Now, Eminem going into this match thought they were going to get an easy victory, as they had beat Lundrick a few times beforehand. But London and Kendrick had other plans. They scored an upset victory over the tag team champions, and seeing as the crowd despised Eminem, they loved it. And this victory basically put Lundrick on the map. And plus, these two were hitting some ridiculously awesome moves, so that alone was enough for the crowd.
Especially Paul London, man. That dude was a talented high flyer of his time, man. He still is. I mean, I heard as well too, man.
Seen in WWE around this time period. In the following weeks, Lundrick were out to prove that this wasn't an upset victory. First up, Kendrick beat Nitro, and then London beat Mercury. Eminem weren't really concerned though, but once again, for the 4th week in a row, Eminem were on the losing end of the match. So these two got into Eminem's heads, and they decided to attack them before their tag team title match. They ambushed the two, and the match was pushed back to Judgment Day. Before the match, though, Lundrick and Jillian decided to embarrass Eminem. They pinched them, and at this point, it was clear that London and Kendrick were in Eminem's
I
heads.
forgot Jillian
At
was
Judgment Day,
doing for
Lundrick
first.
caught Eminem off guard to capture the WWE Tag Team Championships for the first time.
Yep.
The trio couldn't believe this, and as a result of this loss, Eminem disbanded. Melina
Yep.
blamed the loss on Mercury, and this led to Nitro and Melina attacking him. Now, rumor has it Eminem split because Melina made an enemy out of everyone on the SmackDown roster. The wrestlers court punished her, and they sent her to Raw or something like that. That's what I remember. Well, this is not the time for Eminem. That's another time. After Judgment Day, London and Kendrick faced off against the likes of Nunzio and Vito and the Mexicals. Their toughest challenge would come at the Great American Bash when they faced the Pitbulls. Now, about this match, it's pretty underrated.
Who's the Pitbulls? Go back. Hold up. Who's the Pitbulls? Hold on. WWE. Who was that? Jamie Noble and Kid Cash, I think. No, it was. Yeah, Jamie Noble and Kid Cash. Wow. When was this?
I thought about watching this for some reason, but now I'm inclined to see it. They managed to entertain the crowd and get them hot for the pay-per-view, and in the end, it was the champs who retained their titles.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, these guys
Must have
stood
missed
out
that
with their
match
style
and
inside
shit.
the ring,
Wow.
which is something you can't really say nowadays. Like, these two were innovative around this time period. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, they managed to carve a niche for themselves by hitting these high-impact moves,
man.
and they found the right place to do it in the tag team division. Following the bash, it was time for the next
Oh,
challenge.
yeah. Back when Damian Standout was Isle Steven and Casey James and Isle Steven. He was Isle Steven. He was Michelle McCool's T-shirt pay. Yup, I remember that. Oh shit, hit me by accident. But yeah, I remember when he was the T-shirt pay at one point. Oh yeah, that was interesting.
Team division. Following the bash, it was time for the next challengers. Now, it was these guys. Do you remember them? Hell no. Obviously, I know who they are right now, but I still don't know what this tag team was. By the way, that's Damian Sandow. Anyways, these two guys, Casey James and Idol Stevens, managed to
think
get the
Casey
tag
James was
champs
the
in one of their
Impact
first
for a
matches.
minute.
It wasn't really clean, but it put them in contention for the tag team championships. Before they did face those two, Lundrick managed to beat the Pitbulls once again. Once again, Michelle McCool's guys attacked Lundrick right after the match, and the Pitbulls joined in on the attack, and both teams isolated the tag team champions. Since both of these teams wanted the titles, the match was booked between all three teams on the season premiere episode of SmackDown, and it was for the titles. Despite being on the brink of defeat, London and Kendrick managed to retain the titles. Both of the other teams had the match won, but it was ultimately London who was at the right place at the right time. The following week, Ashley Massaro praised the tag team champions, and she showed a highlight clip of them. Why am I mentioning this? I believe this was the first time Ashley had anything to do with Lundrick. Meanwhile, Michelle McCool's team won the right to face the tag team champions at No Mercy, and on the final episode of SmackDown, Ashley finally associated herself with London and Kendrick. At No Mercy, the champions once again delivered on pay-per-view. The problem with this is the fact that James and Stevens, they didn't really stand out. Nonetheless, it was a decent match, and Lundrick retained the titles. Now, maybe if those two weren't sent back to OVW, they could have been a good tag team. I don't know. Anyways, after No Mercy, these two teams faced off for the final time on the November 3rd, 2006 episode of SmackDown. Lundrick emerged victorious with a double team, and the feud was over. It was time that they moved on to their next challengers, Dave Taylor and William Regal. The duo beat the tag team champions to get themselves in contention for the gold, and this led to a matchup between both teams at Armageddon. Right when the two teams were about to go at it, Teddy Long came out and he announced that the tag team title match will be a ladder match. And Regal's face says it all. Like, they were prepared to utilize their tactics, but due to this announcement, everything was thrown out the window.
Teddy Long.
And to make matters worse, Theodore Long announced that Eminem and the Hardys were in this match.
Holla,
After
holla.
the match itself.
Oh, this is the match that he bust his face on. Oh, yeah.
The best matches of 2006. It was filled with some ridiculous spots. Joey Mercury breaking his nose, unfortunately. Jeff Hardy getting drop kicked off a ladder. Dave Taylor and William Regal being afraid of heights. And Brian Kendrick.
Oh, yeah, I
hitting
remember
the
that.
sliced
They were
bread
afraid of
off
heights.
to the top of the ladder. In the end, London and Kendrick retrieved the titles, and all in all,
Yeah,
it was
even
a
beat the
very
Hardys.
brutal ladder match. If I had to pinpoint a match that should have made Kendrick and London stars, then it would be this match.
This for sure,
Unfortunately, though,
man.
nothing really changed despite retaining the gold. Seeing as Taylor and Regal never got the chance to face the champs in a normal match, they were granted that opportunity on the January 12, 2007 episode of SmackDown. During the match, Regal and Taylor dominated, but once again, the champions managed to find a way to retain their gold. Next up was their toughest champ,
Deuce and Dominoes.
Deuce and Domino. These guys were straight from the 50s, and that made them stand out. Like, how many guys in the WWE were greasers? They made their presence felt by beating the tag team champions 2 weeks in a row, which meant that they were the #1 contenders. Now, initially, WWE was going to book a Armageddon rematch at No Way Out, but for some reason, they changed plans, and instead, it was Deuce and Domino who faced the tag champs. As for their matchup at No Way Out, it was decent. Lundrick sold their asses off to make Deuce and Domino look legit, but once again though, London and Kendrick stole the victory. Despite getting their asses handed to them, they managed to upset the new tag team to retain the gold. JBL was initially skeptical of their abilities, but following this match, he was a believer. Like, in nearly every match these two were in, they were the underdogs, bar that Casey James and Idol Stevens feud. That's how the commentary team saw them. After No Way Out, they faced Eminem in a few matchups, and they participated in a battle royal for the World Tag Team Championships. And yes, they were still SmackDown champs. They made it to the Final Four before Kendrick accidentally eliminated himself. This is where things come to an end for Lundrick's title reign. On the April 20th, 2007 episode of SmackDown, Lundrick defended the gold against Deuce and Domino. At this point, they were the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions, holding the titles for 331 days. During the match, Paul London hurt himself. He tried going for a moonsault, but no one was there. The medical team attended to London, and Deuce and Domino smelled blood. They tore apart Kendrick. They managed to isolate him while London was away. They had a double team, and that was it. Deuce and Domino have captured the WWE Tag Team Championships. Moral of the story, London and Kendrick's high-risk offense ended up costing them the match. It felt sad to see them lose the title, but hey, it was eventually going to happen. Following this, they didn't really do much, but once this incident happened, they were screwed. London, for no reason, decided to smile, and this was when Vince's limo exploded. In an interview back in 2016, Paul London finally explained why he smiled, and I quote, "I'm just standing here, man. Whatever happens, I'm the village idiot. It clearly wasn't me. Whatever is going on here, it is not me, clearly. So if you're going to kill somebody, don't kill the guy smiling. I'm just the idiot standing here smiling. That was my motivation. That was my mindset. It wasn't this is so stupid and I'm going to laugh so I can wink at my friends back home and let them know I'm too cool for this. But we did that thing 9 times at least, and I smiled every single time. Each take. It wasn't the same smile, but that was my motivation, and they didn't say anything different. I figured if they had a problem, they would tell me. Vince even looked at my face on a few of those takes as he was walking around and doing those takes and looked at me. It wasn't like he didn't see it 8 or 9 times. So you're telling me he just decides to smile for no reason? On Raw, Lundrick floundered. It didn't feel like these two were the fighting champions that held the titles for nearly a year. It's unfortunate that they weren't really doing much, and their biggest accomplishment was winning the World Tag Team Championships at a live event, only to lose them about a few days later in South Africa. Now, this is what I believe. I believe this was going to be Crime Time's time to shine, but since they got fired, they just decided to give it to Lundrick. As for what their most memorable moment was, it's arguable. It depends on what you think. It was when they saved Triple H from an attack, and the game decided to thank them by delivering 2 pedigrees. Following this, they occasionally competed on Raw, but they were mostly on Heat. And when they were on Raw, they were losing. At one point, though, there was dissension between the two, but they managed to resolve their issues. The duo scored an upset victory of the Tag Team Champions, and they won more matches than previously. Their final match as a team came on the May 26, 2008 episode of Raw, when they lost a Tag Team title match. And that's it for Lundrick. Paul London stayed on Raw, and he made a few appearances before getting released in October of 2008. As for Brian Kendrick, he was drafted to SmackDown, and he was paired with Ezekiel Jackson. He was a heel at this point, and in his time on SmackDown, Kendrick was treated like a bigger deal than he previously was. I will make a standalone video on him soon, so expect the Brian Kendrick. I mean, why wouldn't I make a video on him? He was interim WWE champion, for God's sakes, and in my book, that meant he's a former champ. And yeah, that's Paul London and Brian Kendrick. I always felt like these two should have had a more memorable run. Nonetheless, they had a lot of entertaining matches, but you gotta wonder, what if London didn't smile during that segment? Who knows what would have happened?
That's still a stupid reason they can punish him.
Titles on Raw. All I know is that these guys are probably the most underrated tag team in WWE history. It's unfortunate that they didn't have a much more memorable run, but hey, doesn't matter. They were champs for nearly a year. And that's it for this video. Make sure you hit. Indeed,
this was good most video, but that was stupid reason for them. I'm not blaming Paul London for smiling. It's just Vince being a dickhead for that, man. Like because he does some dickhead punishing. He does some dumb punishing over some dickhead shit, right? I'm saying the situation with Titus O'Neil and all that as well too, and many others. Yeah, But other than that, this was a good video, and as always, I'm gonna say RP Ashley Bizarro. But this was cool, man. Like I said, they wasn't underrated, and it was the awesome tag team though. It sucks they didn't. That mean crazy. Even that tag team champion, it sucks they didn't flourish as much as they would have, being especially in teams. But either way, that's why they consider underrated. Other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.